8 p.m. JST. So we're gonna start our seminar today. So thank you everyone for joining us today's seminar. To introduce how everyone, I'm Anna Akizuki, I'm founder of the Sake East. Because I think some of you have not yet Sake East. So last June, we already released an application called Sake East in English and Japanese version. And then last December, we also released French version. Then actually the concept of the Sake East is to connect all the sake consumers, professionals, sommeliers, and sake breweries across the world. Honorably, last December, we welcomed Xavier Tuiza as a sake's ambassador to promote our Japanese sake, not only France, but also to all the world. Then, since this January, we decided to start our online masterclass to user and non-user. So, Xavier-san, I hand over to you. So please presentation yourself and start your online seminar.
Thank you very much, everybody, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today. So I'm Xavier Tuiza. I'm the current head sommelier of the Hôtel de Crillon, which is a famous French palace in Paris. I try to promote sake with different ways, of course, by Sake East, which is a future of promotion of sake for me. This is a possibility to have access to the knowledges of Japanese sake directly on your phone. So it's absolutely perfect for me to imagine this future on this web promotion. Also, I promote sake with a competition that I do every year since 2017, which is Kura Master in Paris. So this is a great competition of Japanese sake, and we have last year close to 900 different sake to taste. So it's a fantastic competition with only French sommelier, and it's for me, yes, a good way to promote Japanese sake in France. Also, from last November, I received the title of Sake Samurai from the Japanese Sake Shochu Makers Association. So it's a great honor for me to continue to promote Japanese sake with you. And today, thank you, Anna, because we have the great opportunity to present you, I can say, the perfect way to start learning of Japanese sake. This is a terroir of sake. It's for me the most important thing to present you how sake is a great beverage, to understand why. And after, during this explanation, I still some pairing with a different style of sake we can see. But I can say you from now, you have to prepare for the second webinar in February because it will be fantastic. We prepare something great for you for the way of promotion of Japanese sake in restaurants and the perfect way of pairing of Japanese sake. So for this reason, I'm so excited to explain to you the terroir this month and the next month how we promote and how we work Japanese sake in a restaurant. So if you want, let's start with this webinar and let's go inside Japan to visit this great country to understand why Japanese sake is a different beverage than the other one. In the way of promotion, so the terroir of sake, this word is important for us in a restaurant because when we have a notion of terroir, we can see different possibilities. So this is a reflection of its own history. So the beverage is a part of history. It's an adequacy between the element of sake proposed by nature. This is important because nature gives to the brewer the possibility to do something great. So the rice, water, and microorganisms. This is the three main things who nature bring to us all his talent, I can say. And of course, the last talent, this is a man. The talent of balancing, of blending these elements, these three elements, rice, water, and microorganisms, and creating a great product. This is a toji. The toji have the key and can organize around him and around his knowledges how we do a great sake, how we produce a great sake. So this is these 5 elements, which is the terroir of Japanese sake. And of course, has a great beverage, a great story. To be short, I propose you just few words to understand sake with the history. So it started at year 0, so 2000 years before. The production of sake would start shortly after the appearance of rice from China. This is at this moment a masticated rice, which name is Kuchikami no sake, and the saliva has the ferments and enzyme to break down starch. So with your mouth, they started a touch of fermentation, and after they put in this kind of tank, I can say. The keys moment of Japanese sake, so to 300 to 700, it's a progressive diffusion of sake in Japan, offered as offering to God and emperor. So it's not at this moment a consummation of sake, but it's just a gift to the god. And at this moment, it's just a cloudy sake, milky sake, which this sake called doburoku. We can find now some doburoku, but this is the most historic Japanese sake. From 700 to 800, it's progressive, the process of koji arriving from China, and start to be interesting. The production of sake no really start at this time. We can say the real go and start from Japanese sake production come from this period. And after from 800 to 1200 year, this is the moment where we leave the gift to the god to consume the Japanese sake to the people. So this is the appearance of Morohaku. So this is the sake made with polished rice. So 800 years before, so it's a long time ago. And also the Katahaku. So this is a mixture of polished and brown rice. Very interesting to see this notion of polishing. It's so old. Very interesting. After, so from 1,200 and close to 100, 400, the sake starts to be well marketed. So it's a great consumption. The consumption grew up. And we have in Kyoto at this moment some brewery everywhere in Kyoto. So very small production, but Kyoto, this is at this time the capital of Japanese sake. And some brewery produce, as you can see here, a touch of sake, just 500 liters per year. So it's nothing, but we have like that many micro brewery who produce a few liters of sake because it's very popular. And it was the prohibition by the government. At the end, the government, so close to 1,600 years, begin to give tax to the kura. Of course, they know Japanese sake is popular, so as all the government, they want to tax this beverage. And at the opposite of the prohibition, they encourage, they want we sell sake to have more tax, of course. And this year, close to 16th century, we have 342 kura in Kyoto. It's absolutely a lot, of course. And at this moment, this is a creation of pasteurization. So it's a long time before Pasteur, because we think in France, Pasteur created the pasteurization, but not the Japanese people created that 400 years before Pasteur. At this moment, we have the sake brand who develop. One of the first, it's Kenbishi, of course, which is still now here. And the appearance of distilled alcohol from Kyushu, the Imozake, start to appear at this moment. Saint François Xavier starts, so Francisco Xavier start to go in Japan at this moment also to start to plant some vineyard and to evangelize the Catholic religion. We continue to arrive close to us in the 19th century, and this is a modern manufacturing process mature. So at this moment, we start to have a great production of sake, modern process, and more sharp in the process. And after, for me, the real go of Japanese sake in the world, this is a universal exhibition in Japan in 1872, and the Japanese drink made it the debut of the world stage. And for the first time, we use the name Nihonshu. So Nihonshu, it's not a long and historic word, we can say, because we use this word for the first time at the start of 20th century. So it's not too old. And after, of course, Ishobin was born in 1901. So the Ishobin, we can say, is young because he have now 120 years old. So it's not so old to compare with the history of sake. Today, close to us in the 90s, the Ginjoshu starts, but I can say the Ginjoshu starts close to the 70s, to be clear, and the classification system applied for the tax purpose. So this is Kyubetsu Seido. After, with the time, the machine is the 16, and from now the taxation is different. It's not a classification, but it's an alcohol content. And close to our time, we can just speak quickly about the sake product of the world. Taiwan, Brazil, South Korea, United States, China, Canada, Australia, Vietnam, Thailand produce sake, and close to us in the 21st century, Norway, and here in France, now they produce sake. And just to say for the beginners, the 1st of October, this is the New Year of sake, the great festivities of Japanese sake every year. For the story, which is for me the great storytelling we can do for the Japanese sake, this is a part of terroir. The ingredient of Japanese sake, so we have 4 main pillars: the rice, water, microorganism, and the man, the toji. But this is 4 elements of terroir, ingredient. We can say the man is an ingredient of Japanese sake for sure, and we can see that after. Just to start with the store here, the rice. We have 300 kinds of rice in Japan. Indica, it's approximately 18% of the world. Japonica, it's an anecdotal, but the Japonica is 20% of the world production, with Uru Shimai, which is the sake and table rice, and the mochimai only for the mochi rice, of course. The component of rice, and this is very important to see that the rice, we have 5 elements important. The carbohydrate, 75%, the protein, 2% of lipid, of fat parts, which is not interesting for Japanese sake production, and 1% of minerals, potassium, magnesium, that help to growth of ferment and kojikin. Very important to preserve that in the rice. And after we have a water soluble of B vitamins. B vitamins, of course, are important for the fermentation. Also, in the rice, 2 things important for me to know, and it's a part of the terroir, the size of the rice and the rice. We calculate the weight of 1,000 grains of rice. For the food rice, 1,000 grains weighs approximately 24 grams, but the Shuzokotekimai, so the sake rice, the sakamai, it's a weight of 28 grams, so it's a bit heavy. We can see after that why. So this is Senryuju important for the to have a rice of quality to be brewed. The Shimpaku also, so it's composed of the starch, and the Shimpaku, this is when we go to polish for the koji rice, it's easily to go inside the rice to helping the saccharification. Protein, lipid, and mineral are found in the outer part of the rice grain. So we go down the protein and lipids, of course, to keep only the hearts. Maybe you can see here on the middle, it's a bit dark, but this is here the Shimpaku, so it's very clear and bright part of the polished rice when we have the most delicate and elegant and pure flavors. So pure starch, of course. The stage of rice growth, it's important to know well, the sowing, it's between March and April. In May, when the transplanted of rice. In June, the Mizokiri is the canadaiging. In July, we have the Nakaboshi. This is a kind of drainage for water. And end of September, the harvest. So if we compare, it's very close to wine because the blowing, the flower starts close to March, April, at the same time of the sowing of rice, and the harvest of grape for the wine, it's the same time, end of September. So this is a perfect and the same calendar in a year between rice and grape. So it's a bit funny. A Shuzokotekimai. What is a Shuzokotekimai? When we see this word on an explanation or on a label, it's just the official name of the sake rice, of the sakamai. We have more than 100 varieties in Japan, and these 100 varieties represent only 1% of the Japanese rice production. And the Shuzokotekimai, we have a criteria to be a Shuzokotekimai, to be big, a big rice, of course, with a Senryuju between 25 grams and 30 grams. We have to have a Shimpaku, lower fat and protein content, very important. high water absorption rate. So it's very important for this Shusokote Kimai to have a good absorption of water for the fermentation and for the kojikin, of course. And after cooking, a Shusokote Kimai must to be firm inside but tender inside. Very important. The rice that does to not meet this criteria is just Sakamai. We lose the name of Shusokote Kimai to Sakamai. But Shusokote Kimai is the highest level for the criteria of Japanese sake rice. Each varieties require a different climate and soil. Of course, it's a bit complex in Japan because we can use Yamada Nishiki from Hyogo and brew in Niigata or brew in Saga. But to be concentrated with the rice, every rice is a kind of mirror of the soil and of the place where is produced. So the plants are larger and still longer. More the plant is high, more the cultivation and harvest is difficult. Of course, because of wind, because of typhoon, because thunderstorms, very difficult. For this example, this year, 2020, there is many typhoon in south of Japan. So the production of rice is very difficult this year. This is a part of terroir. This is a part of a vintage. We can keep in memory, in 2020, we have, of course, a difficult year with the corona, but also very good difficult year for the production of rice. So it's important to keep that in mind. And of course, with a plant of rice, a typical height, it's close to 1.5 meters. The classic Shusokote Kimai, 120 centimeter weight. And for the sake rice table, we can say it's less than 1 meter. A sake table, a rice table is 70. The ideal condition and rules of rice production, this is a high thermal amplitude between day and night, important. A too high temperature will crack the rice grain. So we have to keep some freshness in the weather, not too hot. We have to keep a rich soil, not a poor soil. So this is the opposite of wine. We have a large spacing between plants for a better ventilation. Of course, the wind is very important, but a light wind. So we have to keep a large space between all the plants. Sunshine, of course, to allow the rice to mature and to have a great maturity, a progress maturity. Water management is very important because too much water rots the roots, so it's not good, and not enough water white the roots. So a perfect management of water in the production of rice, it's absolutely important. And of course, a bad herbs control, like the vineyard, because it creates some we can say it pump energy to the rice, so we don't need bad herbs, and it creates a difficult movement for the rice to grow up correctly. Of course, a good harvest is a rice with a good maturity and the rice brown, so it's very important. And after we have to finish with a good farmer, but it's normal. Just a few words to tell you about the processing of rice, polishing, of course, the Shimpaku. So just to be clear with the Senmai Buai, so before that, the rice is brown at the start when it's harvested. So the sake is made with from the starch, and the center of the grain in the Shimpaku, we find that the starch. So around this rich there are lipids, protein, minerals that are harmful for sake if you have too much. So all these elements we don't need to do sake. It's 20%, 30% of the total weight of the rice. And we have after the degrees of polishing, which is called senmai buai. So be careful. I remove 60% of the mass of the rice. My senmai buai is 40%, right on the label. So be careful. We keep 40%. That's why that's what senmai buai means, of course. So don't be confused. This is a typical rice polishing machine, which is created this kind of machine in 1930. So you can see here how we do to decrease the degrees of polishing. And after this polishing, the rice is stored in a dry and dark place for 3 weeks. So after polishing, we wait 3 weeks with a controlled temperature and to stabilize the rice. And this phase of the rice, this is a karashi. When we finish to polish, we keep in storage, and after we deliver it to the. But at this moment, this is a karashi. Few shuzo kotekimai to see and to keep in your mind, very important. Of course, the king, the Yamada Nishiki from Yogo, 80 years old. It's a fruity and white flower, intense and exotic flavor. If I have to compare with wine and with grape, I can say, sorry, this is like a Chardonnay. Very intense, very open, very full, good aromatic, good exotic flavors, and very clear to understand. The omachi, delicate, elegant, pure omachi. So with Yamada Nishiki, of course, we use a cuisine very creamy and exotic to create a combination. But omachi, more straight, more delicate, more elegant. We can compare if we want. It's not necessary, but like a Sauvignon Blanc, very white pepper, and in-house straight. So maybe more from the seafood, for example, of or shellfish. Guyaku Mangoku from north of Japan, one of the stars of Shuzo Kotekimai. White fruits, vegetable notes, so but delicate and very elegant Shuzo Kotekimai. But we keep the fruits, of course. Guyaku Mangoku, of course, with a starter like maybe eggs, because eggs very difficult to marry, and Japanese sake can do that, and the flavors of Guyaku Mangoku is very interesting. So the Wasen-san, one of the great rice from north also, which its flavors is phenol, anise, so very interesting also for the cuisine. And a different character, the Hatan Nishiki, of course, of different other Shuzo Kotekimai, but I just choose the 5 with a great identity. South of Japan, Hiroshima, the opposite of the other ones, because very intense, spicy, we have some chocolate notes. Why not use some Hatan Nishiki to propose a combination with meat? It's very interesting for the meat with a winter season dish. Very interesting. A domain sake. What is a domain sake? It's a specific mention used for the sake breweries who also cultivating its own rice, so close to the brewery or very inside the brewery. We have some domain sake in Japan like Kueji, Senkin, Nichi, Nida, Onke, Shindo, but not only this producer, but they produce the rice. This term domain comes from Burgundy, of course, from France. So it's interesting to see Japan use a term of wine to designate a producer of rice. For me, it's very interesting to start to produce in this way, but it's a long way. It's a large work, hard work. It means many dedication from the brewery, but I think it's a good idea, of course, for the traceability, for the storytelling, to export the sake in the world. It's a good mention, I think. It's a good mention to be close to the production of rice. That finish from the part of rice here, and let's go for the second main. I see the second main thing for the Japanese sake is the water. So I can say something interesting between rice and water. To consider Japanese sake, to explain Japanese sake, we can say maybe the rice is the aromatic, the flavors, the identity of nose, I can say. But the water, this is the tactile sensation in mouth. For me, water, this is the soul and the heart of Japanese sake. I think the most important part of terroir, of identity, local identity, this is the water, for sure. And almost all sake breweries are located immediately close to an abundant source of high quality water. In this little picture, you can see the sake brewery, the mountain, and the best water of the countries. But you can see something, all the sake brewery are close to a river. It's very important because this is the identity of brewery, identity of sake. For me, we can't imagine a great Japanese sake without a great water. It's very important. Sake, and it's important when we promote Japanese sake in France. Sake is 80% of water. So, and we have a very good information here. The amount of water used in all stage of sake production is 50 times the total weight of the rice per bottle. So it's absolutely amazing. We use many water at different stage of brewing, of course, but it means 50 times more than the weight of rice. It's used for soaking, for washing, for creating, for the must, and after for adjusting the flavors at the end of fermentation of the finished product. But the water used for production of sake is a Shuzo Yosui. More specifically, we have one used for the brewing, only brewing. This is a Jozo Yusui, and one used for the bottling. This is a Binzume Yusui. Very important to see water have different name for different stage of production. But it's, I think, for me, it's very good and important information. What is a great water and what is a bad water? It's important to make the difference. A great water, very clean and pure, for me, must contain potassium, phosphoric acid, and magnesium. This is the three main pillars for a great water for sake production. This potassium, phosphoric, and magnesium is necessary to help the yeast, for the propagation of the yeast in the shubo, and for a good development of komekoji. So we need these elements for that. If we don't have that, the yeast can't work, and it's difficult to have a great fermentation. So we need that. However, water containing iron and manganese is very harmful for sake, because iron we feel the iron in mouth. It's not a good pleasure, I can say. And of course, it darkens the color. And sake imposes negative aromas, so this metallic aromas and taste. And the manganese promotes the discoloration of sake. And for me, it's not really great for production. So iron and manganese, it's not possible for the production of a great sake, a great Japanese sake. I just want to share with you, like I can say, maybe a classification system of wine in France, a classification of reputable source of Japan to keep in your mind. First, the Miyamizu water in Nada, not the most pure because we have hardness in this and full body in this water. So it's interesting to produce rich sake in minerals, but it's very easy after for the enzymatic activity because we have a great minerals, phosphorus and potassium in this water. So it gives a rich taste on the Japanese sake. The Gokosui water for Fushimi, of course, we can say the honorable aromatic water, one of the most delicate, very elegant, very clean and pure. Of course, we have a great delicacy in this Japanese sake. The water of Mont Fuji, the Fukuryosui water from Yamanashi Prefecture, the snow and the rain falling on Mont Fuji and penetrating in this volcanic soil. So this is a very filtering soil. So it gives to sake a good balance. It's fantastic to have a slight acidity. Great water. And the three last, the water of Mount Gassan, Mogami River in Yamagata Prefecture. Famous water, great water. Of course, I tasted a great sake from this river Mogami yesterday. Akusen water, which is the first GI in Japan from Ishikawa Prefecture, medium hard water. It's a water with an attitude, we can say, a personality. That's why they have the first GI in history in Japan. Akusen, it's a great water, and Ishikawa, a great part of Japan to produce authentic Japanese sake. I love this place. Seijo water from Hiroshima. So it's also great water to keep in your mind, medium hard water from Shugoku mountains. So very interesting water also to produce a sake of identity. So water give identity to the sake, like the soil for the wine, like the earth of wine. It's very important because it is the identity of Japan, the water. Just a notion of hardness, to be clear. We have two water in Japan, the Kosui water, which is the most fresh water, the most hard water, sorry, and the Nansui water, the pure water. I love both. I love when we have a pure water for the starter, for the appetizer with a green vegetable, asparagus, something like that, very clean with shellfish. And I love the Kosui water when we can propose cheese, more texture like white meat or deep fish, like maybe a jandouri with a deep and intense sauce. Lobster also is interesting with the texture very intense and full. So both are fantastic. And the unit of measurement of water hardness, this is a DH measure. It's a German system to express the hardness. So just an example, the national average from sake brewing is 3.43 DH. But less than that, more pure, we have Niigata, one of the most pure Yamagata, Fushimi in Kyoto 4 DH, Seijo 5 DH, Miyamizu 7 to 8 DH, and I put Evian and Contrax, it's two French water. Evian, it's 17 DH. So it's very interesting because we can say the national average it's close to 4. So Evian, it's 4 times more hard than the national average sake brewing water. It's important to know because for us in France, Evian is the most pure water, very delicate and elegant water. But if we compare to Japan, it's a hard water in fact, because our palate love this sensation and know this sensation of hardness. So that's why French people love some Kimoto method, some rich sake, intense flavors, because it's in our DNA. We love this sensation of mouth, very intense and full. When I started with the Japanese sake, I was sure in my mind that the most pure sake is the best. Yes, but now more and more, and we can see that in the result of Kuramaster every year, French people love more and more the deep and intense sake. Maybe we have a part of answer here and a part to understand why we love deep and intense sake, because Evian it's 4 times more hard than the Japanese river. So I think it's a part of explanation. And of course, the part of explanation, it's a geographical and climatic situation. Of course, France have mountains, but not many mountains. But Japan, it's 70% of mountain. In France, only 30%. So for this reason, for all this mountain, we have different kind of water and we have many rivers. That's why we can produce sake in all the prefecture in Japan, because we have river everywhere, because we have mountain everywhere. The temperature, and it's important, you can see if we compare Japan and France, the climate with the latitude is more in Spain, south of France, Spain, and north of Africa. So that's why we have summer very hard in Japan, very hot in Japan, and that's why also why we think it's a bit complex to have a great harvest of rice, because when it's very sun, we need that for the maturation of rice, but we also need freshness. So it's a bit complex, but I think it's a very good and interesting picture. For the third part of terroir of Japanese sake, the microorganism, which is very important because it's now why we have the third part of terroir, microorganism, and the man, because the man decide what is the microorganism. So this is the end of the man now of the Toji. So the main microorganisms are kojikin, so the koji spores, which cause the saccharification of rice and therefore the transformation of rice into sugar. We know that. But in Japan, we have 3 kinds of main koji: the yellow koji, the kikoji, just for the Japanese sake, the black koji, so the kuro koji for awamori, and the white koji, shiro koji, for shochu, of course. So we are focused on the kikoji, the yellow koji, of course, to use Japanese sake. For me, I have the tsukiaze, soaze method. So the main part of the man is very important because he decides how much koji he puts on the rice, but we can see that after, and the temperature of Kojimo robot. We just see that in a few seconds. The second microorganism, this is the Saccharomyces cerevisiae, the same yeast that we use for the wine. It's interesting because this type of rice is a result of a selection made since the beginning of history of sake. So we use Saccharomyces cerevisiae from the start of production of sake a few centuries ago. Here are the main yeast used for Japanese sake. So the Kyokai Nanaban from Nagano, from Masumi. This is one of the most famous, one of the most commonly used for the great power and quick fermentation. Kyokai Kuban from Kumamoto. This is exotic flavors from Junmai Ginjo, Daiginjo. And the Kyokai Nijoni ban from Hurakazumi from Miyagi with Milo aromas, structured mouse, and it's interesting because it fermented at well a low and high temperature. I just like to say something important to the producer. They are here. I think we have with this yeast a problem. So, or maybe we will have a problem in few moments. I think with microorganisms like that, sometimes we lose the identity of sake, of place. We lose the sense of place because we smell on the nose only the yeast. So for me, it's a big problem because like that we have a focus, aromatic focus on the yeast, and all the Yamada with the Kyokai Nanaban, for example, smell the same thing. We lose the identity of the place, of the kura. For me, we have to be careful of that. We have to create or to continue to promote a local Kyokai, a local yeast, to preserve the identity of the place. And it's the same thing for the wine, of course. For the wine, we have different yeasts. We buy the yeast, we put the yeast here on the tank, but I think we lose identity. The natural yeast, the local yeast are the best. So I think maybe in the future, important to have a reflection of that, to say how yeast is dangerous for the typicity of Japanese sake. Maybe we have to keep that in your mind, in our mind together, to start a reflection. I just would like to speak with you of the komekoji because I think it's a great part of the identity of sake, of the process, and the responsibility of the toji with the Aspergillus oryzae. The rice koji, it's a vital element to process, to the brewing process sake, of course. We have all adage who describes the importance of koji. This is the first, the koji, then the shubo, and the last, the fermentation. So koji is the first, the most important thing. Koji rice, it's a steamed rice seeded with koji spores. Its role to release this diastasic enzyme to break down a ligase chain to start molecule into smaller chain and after create glucose. This is the saccharification of rice. So start to starch and go to the sugar, to the glucose. The same for the grape, glucose and fructose. The production of komekoji. So this is a famous Kojimuro, and I think this is the first main decision of the toji. It's to produce a tsukiaze or soaze. It depends on the temperature of the room and how many spores of koji we put on the rice. We can maybe, for a clear sake, dedicated sake, put a touch of koji, not too much, and a temperature of room at 36, 37 maximum. But if you want, maybe 35. If we want a sake intense and full, we can put more koji, and the temperature of room is higher, 38, 39, 40 sometimes. So you have more intense flavors in this komekoji to after have more more structure in the sake. So this is a very important choice from now. How much koji we put, and what is the temperature of Kojimuro. I consider this place, the Kojimuro, so where we create the Komekoji, like a church, or like the art of Kura, because the sake start here. This is a magical place, would smell cereals, would make hazelnut sometimes. So I love this part of Kura, and for me this is really yes, like a church. I can say very important to visit a Kojimuro. So the step for the Kojimuro with the microorganisms, we can see here a great komekoji. So hikikomi, so the transfer of kojimai into Kojimuro. The first step. After we have a tokomomi, kojimai seeding with koji spores. The kirikaishi, so breaking and mixing kojimai rice husk. The mori, transfer to a small box, as you can see here, to further control temperature. So in this little box, we put after in a control temperature. The nakashigoto, so the work of the center, once in the box, spread to homogenize the temperature of this little box. And the dedoji, once ready, the komekoji came out the chambers and cooled to stop the spread of spores. The spores work in a high temperature. If we break the temperature, the spores stop to work. But this is the steps to make a great komekoji. After, of course, the shubo, the tongue foot. This is very important because the objective is to multiply the quantity of yeast by mixing komekoji, steam rice, and spring water with a very small tank, 200 kilos maximum, and adding the set of yeast. Of course, now this is the second choice of the toji, very important. It's Sokujo Shubo or Kimoto method, Kimoto Kei Shubo. The modern method is to add acid lactic to preserve the pureness and the freshness, but to have this lactic bacteria develop naturally, we don't touch, we just brew a little bit, and this is a Kimoto method. If we don't touch nothing, it's in the Shubo, it's a Yamahai method. So we have more traditional method. So this is a very important choice. We love both, and I think now Kimoto method it's 10% of Japanese sake, and Yamahai method is just 1%. For me, to make a link with our French cuisine, rich, creamy cuisine, like the famous cuisine of Paul Bocuse or Georges Blanc, or this great chef French with a generous cuisine, which is a part of history of France. Kimoto and Yamahai will be the best for sure. But now, with modern gastronomy, more and more we go to the fish, we go to the pureness in cuisine with light sauce. More and more, the Sokujo method is the best. So I love both, and I think Japan have to preserve this treasure, which is the Kimoto and Yamahai. For me, this is one of the great treasure of Japanese. So I just say that the same thing. So the Sokujo, purity, freshness, delicacy, and Kimoto, the richness and structure. So I just explained that just before, so it's okay. The moromi, of course, this is a mixture between shubo, water, and steamed rice and koji fine rice with the sanden jikomi. Yes, I prefer this because it's okay, but it's prefer to explain to you what is the sanden jikomi with this template. 4 days to create the Sendanji Komi. First day, this is the Atsuzoe. After pouring the shubo into a large tank, we had, after the shubo, 20% of the tank with water, steam rice, kojifal rice, and yeast, as you can see on the plan for the first day. The second day, it's odori. It's a rest day, we don't touch, and the yeast are spread. So the second day it's here to homogenize the shubo and the first add, to have a high activity of bacteria and enzyme. The third day, this is the nakazoe. We had 30% with water, 30% of the tank of water, steam rice, kojifal rice. And of course, it's the middle addition. And the day after, so the fourth day, the tomezoe. Tome, it means stop. It's add with 44% of tank in water, steam rice, and kojifal rice. So of course, at the end of the fourth day, it's a full tank. So the fermentation starts for 1 month or less. It's important to understand that, because it's the key of sake production. And the moromi, of course, with a unique simultaneous multi-fermentation. So of course, the komikoji work to starch in sugar, and the yeast start for the sugar in alcohol transformation. So at the end, this is only one beverage that it's fermented beverage in the world, 20% by himself. It's important. And of course, the last, I can say, the last part of Japanese sake terroir, this is the toji. The toji, this is the supreme authority in the Sakakura, the house of sake. He is the only master of board. He is responsible for the production and generally member of a regional guild from ancestral knowledges. If your guild is from Kyoto, sorry, difficult to produce sake in south or north of Japan. You have to stay in your guild. It's important to preserve the tradition of sake process making. And the cellar masters, the toji, have an assistant, which is the kashira, and brewers, the kurabito. The malt makers, it's a specific person to prepare the malt makers, it's the daiji. So it's a team of toji. But in Japan, more and more we find women who are toji. And it's a good thing, of course. In Japan, we have, at this moment, 25 women toji or kuramoto, president of kura, in 20 prefectures. Of course, if we compare with all the 1,200 breweries in Japan, it's a touch, but more and more we have a woman toji. I just what you can say is for sure a part of terroir. I'm sure if we have a man toji or woman toji, it's not the same result of sake, because it's a different sensibility, it's a different way of process. I love this idea to have the soul of the toji in the sake. For me, it's important when I taste a sake to speak with the toji, to understand his philosophy, and to see a woman toji. I'm very happy to see that, for sure. Here I just put some few women from Hiroshima. You can see from Gunma, also from Mie. So yeah, very interesting. I take this example from the relationship between the toji and the president. Of course, a part of you see Daiichi here. 2 persons important, the toji and Mr. Ota, the president. To understand the relationship between the two persons, I can say the president asks the goal or the new philosophy or a different philosophy or a different cuvée, what he wants, the inspiration, we can say, and the Toji is a technical part. So the president don't go in the cellar during the process to check. No. The Toji is the only one master, and both work very close. The president trusts in his Toji, and I think this is the two persons the most important in a Koji. Sometimes this is the same person. The Toji and Kuramoto is the same person, but I think for a great comprehension, Kuramoto have to work in peace and in trust with the Toji. We just pick with few parts of terroir, the geographical indication. I'm so happy to see Japan start more and more to create some GI. I'm sure this is the future of Japanese sake. It's very important for the production, for the exportation in the world. Why France or all the one country's producer are straight in export? Because we export an area: Burgundy, Bordeaux, Champagne, Rhone Valley. We know all this appellation, all this area, because this is a classification, clear, and you buy something you are sure. It comes from north of Japan, it comes from Akita, it comes from Mie, it comes from Gunma. So the GI is so important, and this is a reflection of Japanese sake terroir for sure. So the tax agency delivers some GI to continue to promote sake, and we just see together the 7 geographical indication now. First, it's Akusan in December 2005. So we can see Akusan here on the blue parts, west of Japan, middle Akusan. We can see here it's Akusan. So Akusan, it's a full-bodied taste, derived from the hard water, of course, of Akusan Mount from Ishikawa Prefecture. 10 years after, Nihonshu, the national global GI. It was a long time to wait this GI, but finally in December 15, he's here. Only sake produced in Japan using Japanese grown rice is entitled to the exclusive use is the term Nihonshu. So we have to call Japanese sake from now Nihonshu. I think this term of sake is not good for the promotion, because in France or the other country, many persons confuse sake from China, distilled sake, and sake from Japan, fermented. So we have to stop to pronounce Japanese sake, but use the term more and more, the term Nihonshu. Nihonshu, this is the only one term you have to use in export markets. 1 year after, Yamagata, with a silky and clear taste, Yamagata north in the yellow part here. Great area, very clear, pure, delicate, elegant, fantastic for gastronomy. I love Yamagata. There was Akura, another one. Nadagogo, it was in June 18 with many luxuriant fruity aromas, sharp taste, but balance, because Miyamizu water, so it's made by Miyamizu water, is a bit hard, so I have more intense flavors in mouth. This is the identity of soil Nadagogo, so close to Kobe in Kansai. Hyogo Prefecture. Sorry. This last year, 2 GI during the Corona, Harima, a light, refreshing style with only Yamada Nishiki from Hyogo. Important because, of course, Harima and Imeji, this is, I can say, of course, the place who were born Yamada Nishiki. So very interesting. And in May, it was Mie GI here with iodine taste, fresh and pure taste, because of course Mie produce great shellfish, and this is a perfect reflection for the sake. So we have the terroir of the cuisine product in Mie and the terroir of Japanese sake. So very interesting. And a few days ago, this month, I think 1 week ago, or maybe not just 5 days, the new GI Tone Numata from Gunma Prefecture. This is a pureness and delicate texture of the river Tone, a district of Gunma Prefecture. So used with a local yeast. It's important in the text. It's important to say it's a local yeast, Tone Numata. Of course, we have a last one, but not for just Japanese sake. This is a GI from the Umeshu of Wakayama. Sorry, I have the GI in September 2020. So it's different because it's Umeshu, of course, but it's another reflection of terroir. Yamagata produce great sake and also are the best prefecture for the fruits and the liquor of fruits. So of course, the first GI of liquor of fruits goes to Yamagata. I think it's somewhere. For me, it's close to be finished for the presentation. Thank you very much. If you have some question, we have my mail, of course, my Instagram also, but Anna give me some question you asked during the registration, Anna. So for to ask with you with the question. So by sakeist, if you want, Anna, I can maybe ask to the question now. We have more than 14 questions, so I can start, Anna, if you want, okay, to answer.
So we already received about 20 questions. So first of all, so basically, Gozabi-san will answer to your question.
Yes, okay, perfect.
So the first question is, what is the key to pairing with oils and fats?
Yes, it's a question from Mrs. Mina Tomoto. Of course, you're right, because oil and fats cuisine is very complex to marry. And I totally agree to say it's impossible to make a pairing with wine. We need a texture in mouth, but a silky freshness at the end. So for me, the best way it's a Kimoto, because Kimoto is a balance between sweetness, structure to balance the oily flavors, like tempura, for example, with the sauce. And the Kimoto at the end of mice give freshness, because you have to keep the palate clear. So in the order to taste, you start by your oil and fat cuisine, tempura, for example, and you keep in your mind maybe, for example, ebi fry. You keep in your mind you drink at the same times the Kimoto, inside the mouth both, and at the end, wow, we have the freshness of Kimoto and the powerful of Kimoto. So I'm totally agreed to make a pairing with the Kimoto. After, I think, now I have a second question. This is a version of spreading out Japanese sake for all over the world. It's a great question. I already asked this question in the past, but it's a hard question. For Japanese sake to go to the world, for now, the label is too much complicated to understand. So we have to change this way of label. We have to be, everything is still in kanji, and it's impossible for the guest to understand and for the sommelier to understand. So maybe to create a brand more strength, maybe less kanji, more romanji on the label. I think it will be the first step to go into the world, for sure. After, what is the number one factor that can influence sommelier to increase their experience with sake? For me, so the term experience is very interesting. The question comes from Melissa Mills from Sake Connect in Australia. It's a great question because it's perfect. Thank you, and I have everything in front of me. The possibility to propose to the guests a different experience, to be in a restaurant like in a school to learn something. So with Japanese sake, with the sommelier, you can increase the fidelity of your guests, the surprise for your guests, the demonstration that with the typical dish from the country or France or US or Australia, sake can make sense in a pairing instead of wine. And for the last thing, it's more professional way, but increase the value of your restaurant. You propose something different, you propose something new, people love that, and your boss loves that because you create more revenue for restaurants with Japanese sake, because Japanese sake go like an upselling way for the restaurant. So this is, for me, all these reasons are very good for the sommelier to increase their experience, of course, and learn something new. And of course, because Japanese sake, it's part of history, it's a long story, and it's a beverage of terroir with a real identity. After we have a question that I love from Richard. I love this idea. Congratulations, Richard. Can you do a judgment of Paris in 76 event in London, comparing the taste of food with French wine versus same food with Japanese sake? I think this idea is so good. If you want, Richard, we can speak after together, but I love this idea. Of course, it's possible. This is a perfect exercise to be a demonstration to the world that wine and Japanese sake, in terms of emotion of pairing, are at the same level. I can't say, I don't want to say Japanese sake is better for wine, it's better than all the other beverage. No, but just the same level. And it will be a great victory, I'm sure. I'm not here to say don't drink wine, drink sake. No, drink both. But this judgment, maybe the future judgment of Paris, or maybe in another place, and not in Paris, but will be a great revolution. And I'm totally agree with you, Richard. It's a fantastic idea. Congratulations for the idea. I'm a bit jealous because I would like to have the idea by myself, but congratulations. After we have a question from Arin from Switzerland, so close to here in France. How to select a customer who open to sake, or how to propose a sake to go with a particular dish. For example, a particular personality person, or based on what else they drink. It's interesting. Does he have any strategy to reduce the personal risk of someone new to sake? Has he ever tried a set menu with a combination of sake and wine or other drinks? Very good question. I have a sentence for that because, to be honest with all of you, for this moment, when we propose Japanese sake to guests, they are a bit afraid because they don't know this beverage, and often they compare with a Japanese distillation beverage. So I said this sentence: Japanese sake, it's between wine and beer in the process. Or I can say it's a beer of rice that we can drink like a wine. And now, after this sentence, it's a beverage between beer and wine. Okay, people can imagine where sake is and how we can taste. So it's just to be clear, sake is very complex in the process. In the restaurant, we are not here to explain all the details of process. It's impossible, and guests don't want that. But we have to be clear in the explanation. I say sometimes it's a pure water. It's a pure aromatic water from a great country of Japan. Very delicate, very elegant. That even geisha can taste Japanese sake, so it's no problem. So after, to answer completely the question, the combination of wine. So yes, with a set menu, the tasting menu, sometimes I propose a pairing. For me, the pairing is here to be, so Japanese sake is here to be a touch for the first starter, because the first starter in the menu is still iodine flavors, green flavors, and with a cheese. So it's two touch, because sometimes we organize a set wine menu, so one little glass for each courses, and at 2 times sake, it's important. So first appetizer and with the cheese. I hope, Arlene, I asked you a question. This number 6, it's Eric from Japan. I have a question. When and where did you drink sake first time, and how was your first impression? Thank you, Eric, for the question. It was in Paris with a great person who now is died. It's Mr. Kuroda. He learned me everything to start. And it was when I was the head sommelier of the Peninsula Hotel in Paris. We have a complex cuisine, Cantonese cuisine in the hotel for the guests. Great restaurant, which name is Lily, gastronomic Cantonese cuisine. And when I read the list of the dish, I see soup, I see dim sum, I see vinegar vegetables. I say, wow, for the one, it's impossible. I can't. I see sauce very sweet with many sugar. It was a bit complex for me with the wine. So I decided to go to see Mr. Kuroda. And so at this moment, I didn't know well sake. It was 10 years ago, but I was curious. But when I tasted, I immediately imagined the capacity of Japanese sake to make a great pairing. So it was a revelation for me. We can say, like in French, coup de cœur professionnel. I immediately understand the capacity of pairing with Chinese cuisine, but with French cuisine. In my mind, it was clear this is a specific world. So the history starts from this moment. After, we have a question for Haruko Morita, my friend from France. Haruko, thank you for the question. What is the problem, obstacle to develop the sake market in foreign country under the situation in COVID-19? The air shipping fees rise twice to 4 times more expensive. Yes, of course. In France or in all around the world, we have 2 problems that I said the labels, nobody understands, so I have to change that. I'm sorry to take an example of French one, so it's Iwa. Richard Geoffroy from Dom Pérignon create a Japanese sake, but we have Iwa on the label. It's clear, it's a brand, we understand immediately, so this is a good way. But the other problem is the price. We don't have specific price to sell Japanese sake outside Japan. It's not possible to keep the same price. Maybe I can say 200 yen, Japanese yen. We have this price to sell in a shop in Tokyo or in Japan, and to keep the same price to sell in France. It's not possible because in France, in the store, this sake from 2,000 yen in Japan, it's 5,000 yen in France. So it's very expensive. With the tax, with the transportation, with the importer, of course, with the retail shop, we have four person who take money, of course, because it's a business. But at the end, for the French consumer, it's so expensive. So we have to go down the price from the Kura for the specific exportation in the other country, like that. In the shop in France, Australia, USA, we have a good price. Of course, little bit more expensive than Japan, but we have a good price. The best example for you is Champagne. In Champagne, you take a famous house of Champagne, Ruinart, or Moum, or Perrier-Jouët. The price in a shop in Paris is close to be the same in a shop in Tokyo or in New York, because we have different level of price. And that's why we have a success. If we keep a price correct in a retail shop in France, of course, it's easy to sell. Because at 5,000 yen, we have in France wine of Burgundy, great Bordeaux wine to compare to the consumer. They have 5,000 yen. They buy a Bordeaux or Burgundy or Champagne wine, of course. So to be competitive, we have to go down the price, I'm sure. And with the COVID-19, thank you, Haruko, for the question, because of course the fees are more expensive. But I think it's now for the Japanese sake to change. It's a great opportunity to change this fact. And of course, the restaurant, after when we reopen, we need to be upselling, so we need to use sake in our restaurant. So it starts to change everything now. After, I have a question. I hope Haruko have make you the answer you want. For Kazutoshi Shoji from Fukumitsuya, I know it is a brewery. Could you tell me how to think about the terroir of sake? So I answered to the question with my webinar, but terroir of sake, this is a reflection of your history. Your history has to be the storytelling when you sell the sake. And the terroir, this is a reflection of all your river, your knowledge, now your how know, I can say, how you do sake, your personality. Japanese sake, terroir, it's all of that. What nature give it to you, what you receive from history, and what the man, the toji, give it to you. So this is a three thing very important. After it's Umetsu Yoishiro from Yonetsuru Shuzo ask a question: what do we need to increase the export of sake to France? So I think I make an answer. So change the marketing of the bottles, just to keep maybe the kanji of the name of your kura, but keep in romanji, mention like Junmai Daiginjo, Tokubetsu Junmai, give it in romanji, the category, your prefecture, Nagano, Gunma, Ishikawa, Kyoto in romanji, important, and keep all in romanji, so Senmai Buai, romanji, Yamada Nishiki, romanji. It's so important. Or in French or in English, it depends the country, but it's for me the only one possibility to understand sake for all the sommelier. I have a story to tell you. One time, a sommelier come to me with a bottle of sake and he said, "Oh look, Japanese sake, it's 60% of alcohol. 60." I say, "No, it's not alcohol. It's senmai buai." So there is a terrible confusion between katakana, kanji, they don't understand. So there is a confusion between senmai buai and alcohol, so it's impossible. So that's why the most important thing, but now, not next year, now, is to change that. Change your label, keep it in romanji or in ego, but whatever, but to be clear for all the world. This is absolutely important. Even the sommelier don't understand, so it's very important. I have next question from Kazuya Mangyo from Sake Shop Staff in Japan. How French people choose a sake in uncountable Japanese sake lineup? I have to say, to be clear and honest with you, for this moment, French people can't choose because they don't understand the label. So they need sommelier, they need wine retail shop, they need a person to help them to choose. So, but now, to be clear with you, they can't choose a sake on a lineup. Absolutely not. For them, it's a new world. When we have in a shop all a lineup of sake, they absolutely don't know to choose. So that's why we have to change now the way of promotion of sake and the way of label, for sure. I have a question after from, I'm sorry, Tanaka Shuzo, Imeji, with Arima GI. Good to see you. Do you think sake should make the difference in a taste in each region clearer? Haha. Yes. It's interesting you had a question, Tanaka-san, because of course you create Arima GI, so you know that, and after, for me, the GI is here for that, to make a difference in the taste in each region. This is the main thing of a GI. A good GI is for that. In a blind tasting, of course, it's difficult to imagine the comparison, to be clear with you and honest with you. But I think you can continue to promote your difference. Yogo is a Yamada Nishiki, so of course it's important, but for me it's clear for Akusan, because Akusan, yes, it's a specific water. From Nadagogo also, GI, very easy for me to imagine the texture of water. After, yes, each region have an identity, but more we work of this difference and more with the time, because now it's not possible to see that now, but I think in 10 years, 20 years, if we keep this difference in taste in each region, it will be more and more clear. But we need time for that, for sure. But of course, to be clear with the water, it's absolutely important. 20th question: is there any type of sake which French people especially prefer, like rich and full body type or fruity aromas type? Of course, when we speak about type of sake with French people prefer, I think to the first time where French people taste sake, the first time they need to taste a fruity aromas sake. To be more clear, to be more popular also. And more we go with the cuisine, more we go with a rich and full body type. So this is a graduation. We start with the fruity flavored aromas to be popular, to be clear to understand. And after we can go with a full body Kimoto traditional way of brewing. It's like in the wine. We start with a sweet wine. When we are a young man or young woman, we love a sweet wine. After we go to the dry wine, and after we go to the red wine, because our palate change. So the same thing for the French people. The education of palate change with time and with education. So we start education with a Ginjo Daiginjo style, and after we go with some Kimoto Yamahai, but after and with cuisine, always with cuisine. The first time I tasted a Yamahai, to be honest with you, I don't really like that because I say, it's a bit difficult, a bit strong, it's not pure. But when I tasted this Yamahai with a cheese like maybe Comté or Old Comté or a cow milk cheese, it was totally different. I understand why I love Yamahai with the cheese. So this is important. I think I answered to the question. Another one with the possibility where French people consume regularly Japanese sake in the near future. Yes, for me, two possibilities. The future of sparkling sake. Now we see more and more labels like Awazake, where the producer of Japanese sake start to produce a great sparkling sake. I think for the feminine public, spring and summer consumption, Japanese sparkling sake is perfect because you can compare to like a Prosecco or Moscato d'Asti in Italia. Very interesting. And I have to say, I tasted many sparkling sake. We have two methods. The second fermentation in bottle, like a champagne method, traditional method, or a method Charmat, a second fermentation in a tank. In Europe, method Charmat, usually we don't like that, but Prosecco do that. And I'm sure for the rice and for the Japanese sake, we have to keep this Charmat method because we keep freshness. We don't go to the oxidation like a second fermentation in bottle because when we use this process, of course, we have an oxidation. So to preserve the pureness of sake, to be sparkling, this is a Charmat method for me, the best way for the sparkling sake. I think Anna, it's finished or no? It's finished. It's finished. Huh? No more question, I think.
Yes, that's all. So
Okay, perfect.
we have still a little bit of time, so we would like to accept other questions. So if you have any, please.
Yes. If you have any question, please.
So just using Q&A function, please.
Or if you want maybe to change or to speak about another question or speak about one of my answers. maybe to wait a question, speak about next month. Next month with a fantastic masterclass with how we promote Japanese sake in a restaurant. So I will prepare for you many combinations with a different kind of sake, with a different cuisine of the world. How we buy sake, how we use, how we can maybe propose sake on table with glasses, service, temperature. So all the keys to promote Japanese sake. So it will be 25th of February. It's Thursday, I think, Anna. So after we continue with Sakeist to propose to the app some new things. We tested many sake for you, and so yes, congratulations. The next session, yes, so 25 February, how to sell sake at restaurant and hotel outside Japan, of course. So it will be, I hope, a great. Arlene, you have something, yes, for labeling. Are you working with any Japanese organization? There is a template label which has been promoted. I can't remember right now. So yeah, I just can propose to GSS and the National Tax Agency, but we organize, yes, very soon a meeting about that, but we can't ask to the producer. I think, Arlene, the producer want to do that or not. We have just suggest something, but it's not necessary, or maybe they don't have to do that. But if they want to do that, they do that. But everything starts for the producer. So yeah, we can maybe we will certainly work in a template to suggest to the producer, but no more. We can't impose that. Is it easier to work with importer, retailer? Has the need to? Yes. Yes. Also, but I think with the person we import, they just put a label behind the bottle. I think it would be interesting to change the main label also. For sure, the retailer have to ask to the producer to have a text in the own language, for sure. In French for Switzerland or France or Belgium, but yes, it's so important. After maybe all the package also, because it's important to keep the soul of history of Japan, but now we are in the 21st century, so we have to change that. But of course, the importer is a person key in this exercise, for sure. Thank you for the great presentation. Thank you. I'd like to ask you your opinion. One Kura brand produced different type of sake, like cloudy, sparkling, sweet, dry, Kimoto. Does it make French consumer confused? Yes. Sometimes yes, because I love to see a specific brewery for sparkling. In my mind, it's clear, but now it's not possible because it's too early in the process. But I hope in the future to have less confusion, because yes, when you produce so different sake, so cloudy, koshu, sparkling, Kimoto, Daiginjo, Onjozo, it's a bit confused. But I think to be a great house of sake, to have less sake, but to be focused on a specific process. I think in the future it would be interesting because I see some Kura, big Kura, who produce a liquor of fruit, umeshu, yuzushu, and after nigori, kimoto, kijoshu, koshu. Well, it's a bit complex to be at the top everywhere. It's not possible. So like a great chef restaurant, be focused on a short proposition, but great. Like all the 3 stars Michelin restaurants, they are focused on 10 dishes, no more. If you propose in a restaurant 40 dishes, it will be 40 dishes, but with a low quality, for sure. I think so. It's confusion for the French consumer, of course, but it's also not good for the quality. So to be focused is better, I think. Arlene, I think the template I saw was the back level as well. Yeah. But it's not so it's Romanji or English. Yes, absolutely, Arlene. Consumer need that to be Romanji or English in the front label. We can keep a symbol of kanji for the name of the house because it's part of history and it's normal. But for the rest, prefecture, kind of sake, type of sake, in English or in Romanji, of course. I totally agree with that. Totally. Great. Yeah, great question. So the label, but also the price. Of course, it's the other one, but the other one problem. But the reflection of the price is very important. Consider a specific price for the export market. This is the key to sell more sake. Before the winemaker starts in France to sell at the same price, but quickly only for the little production, very rare and very prestigious, they don't tell the price. But for all the market with more bottles, it's important to have different prices, of course. Of course. If we don't have question more, maybe I think it's okay. Maybe Anna, what do you think? Thank you so much. We continue to work for you with Anna, with a sakeist for this month to taste new sake, to propose a tasting of all the sake we find on Sakeist with my comments, and after with your comments, so some news very soon on Sakeist, and also Anna, the internet website of Sakeist that you can visit from now. Fantastic, and you will see in few months we grow up, we continue to propose you more and more information and more elements of communication between all of us, because Sakeist is more than an application, it's a community together. So we are here for you. If we have a question, I think you can maybe ask on the website with Anna. So we are an appointment, everybody in every month, I hope, with Zoom. And so if you want maybe some, if you want to propose some idea for the next webinar, maybe you can suggest to Anna, no problem. We are here for you, of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fujii-san. Thank you for all of us to participate today. I heard some of you to join us. I think there was some problem to sign up this webinar, so we apologize for your inconvenience to sign up. Then after this seminar, we will send the email to answer your rating and review to improve our webinar quality. And also, we will also send the registration link for the next session that we held on the last Thursday on February. Then
Yeah.
the title will be How to Sell Japanese Sake, a restaurant which is non-Japanese, namely French, Italian, etc. So please looking for us. Thank you.
Great pleasure. Thank you very much. See you next month. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.